Hey everybody, this is another exciting edition of Dan's Models. This is John sitting with Dan, and welcome to the port, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's like the port of Dan. These are shipping containers,
They are.
obviously.
Yes.
Lots and lots of shipping containers.
HS scale shipping containers,
Yeah.
mostly Walthers. I think there's a couple Atherns in here.
I should mention quickly, Dan, that before the camera was started, I had to stop Dan from putting more because there are even more of these things in the container you brought. A container of containers.
Right. Well, I'm trying to put together enough of this old school stuff. I'm trying to put together, well, this is sort of old school now too, but I'm trying to put together a 90s era stack train. Okay.
Oh, right. Oh, referring old school stuff, referring to the past 5 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, when
of
we've been
Dan's
doing
models.
50s equipment. So
Yeah, this is not 50s equipment.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm even sure these were thought of in the 50s.
less old school.
Yeah. Well, these are old school like 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Not 60 or 70.
Although they don't look that different than what's on today. In fact, I'm not even sure some of these might actually be too new for the 90s, but we'll just wink and say it's all right.
They're cool models, so it's okay with me.
Yeah.
So is it okay with you?
Sure, it's fine with me.
Is it okay with the listeners? I just heard them say yes.
Okay.
So please proceed.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody's out there, that brand of container didn't exist until 2006, and you know, whatever. It's like,
Well, I've seen all of these as recently as last year because I've seen APL, I've seen Maersk, I'm sure I've seen Hapag-Lloyd, and I'm sure I've seen K-Line as well. So
yeah.
I know some of these are still being used. I don't know that I've ever seen, P&O whatever, but
P&O Ned Lloyd.
whatever the hell that is. But yeah. But I know Maersk. I see those all the time.
Yeah.
And APL. So. But these are cool. I talk
Yeah, and I
about
got
this. This is
Hanjin back here, and
Yep, seen those too.
Genstar and Union Pacific.
Yeah, I don't remember Genstar, but I know I've seen Hanjin or whatever that is,
Yeah.
Chinese one. I think it's a
So-
Chinese name.
I got Walthers makes some nice containers, but and I had some already, but I basically, what I'm trying to do, I have 4 5-unit well cars that I'm using and another 5 singleton well cars. So if I filled all those up to capacity, that's 50 containers.
That's a lot of containers.
It's a lot of containers. So, and I'm trying to, I actually have a little bit more than 50 containers now. I probably have like 60 of them, so I can choose, which ones I want.
Well, either
use.
that or just put them 3 high.
Yeah, triple stack. There you go.
I'm full of ideas. Whether they're good or not is a totally different idea.
It's all good till you go through a tunnel.
Yeah, right. I can't imagine a 3 stack. That would just look so dumb. If they did that, they would have to make sure that the top ones were empty, so it wouldn't be too top heavy.
Yeah,
so that the tunnel wouldn't get too damaged when they went through.
right. So, anyway,
that would be a prank that someone would pull, Dan. They're loading the train, and on the very last car, they put an empty one on top just so that and then they have their buddy go tape it when the train goes by.
Yeah, it becomes a YouTube viral
It's a
thing.
viral video, right?
Yeah, there you go. Give someone an idea. If you work at the port and you think you can get away with it without getting fired, hey.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. Anyway.
Enough of the great ideas.
Yeah. Weathering these things, been looking at vintage photos from the 90s and also some photos that I more recently took myself of stack trains, and just tried to reproduce the kinds of weathering patterns that I'd seen on the containers.
It would be pretty hard to find the exact container, right?
It would, yeah. And that's a little more intense than I would really even care to try to do. You know, I mean, it's like, containers are so transient anyway.
Exactly. And some of these could just as easily be in South America right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or somewhere.
So I just tried to make them all look, like something you'd see. And I don't want them to all look the same. I want some to be dirtier than others.
Yep.
And also I think they retire the containers after a certain point. So you usually don't see them looking too decrepit.
Mm-hmm.
They dirty, sometimes some surface rust, because they do, after all, cross the ocean. in a
Yeah,
maritime environment, so they're going to get a little rusty.
Yeah,
So-
the air is a lot harsher over the ocean with all the salt in the
right.
air.
So one thing I'll talk about, and I know you can't really tell by looking at this on the video, but I have basically a capacity of 50 containers on my train, which is basically 25 wells. So, and well cars tend to be light. And there's really no practical way on most well cars to add weight. The only way to add weight is in the containers.
Well, that is the practical way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So what I did is
add a load.
I kind of arbitrarily divided my containers in half.
Oh.
And what I did was the ones that I intend to be top units, I left alone.
Oh, that's a good idea. Then it won't be top heavy like I was just talking about.
And the ones on the bottom, you can't see it now because I already sealed them up. But most of the containers either have a removable floor like this one, or they have a removable roof, one or the other. And what I did was I got some of those stick-on weights that I got off eBay, and I added like 2 ounces of weight to all of the bottom containers.
Yeah. Did you do something for yourself to remember which ones are the bottoms?
Well, it's easy to tell because you pick them up and you know.
Well, no, I get that.
Yeah.
I just wondered if maybe you marked them somehow.
No, I didn't.
Okay. So you're doing it just basically by feel.
Yeah, pretty much. Although I tend, because some of my well cars only have a 40-foot capacity on the bottom, I tended to do more of the 40-footers as the bottom units versus like the 48s, the 53s.
Yeah, I've seen them stacked like that on real trains where the top is taller or wider.
That's usually
or longer, I suppose.
how you would see it. They don't usually stack a small one on top of a large one.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it's usually like this. This one I think is actually an Athearn container, and this one I think the roof comes off, but I'm not going to take it off now.
Don't do it now; it might break, right?
But anyway, I've noticed that a lot of them, they tend to accumulate rust on the ends, and then along the bottom and the top. So
anywhere where there's a corner, right, where moisture would tend to collect.
Right, and so that's kind of the pattern I followed on a lot of them, especially this type with the corrugated sides, or like this one. It's kind of the same thing, but I also use mostly this was done with powders, but on this one I also used some paler powder to fade it, make it look kind of bleached.
Yeah, it definitely does look bleached.
Yeah. So this one's a little different style of container. This one has flatter sides, and so I did this one more like I would do a boxcar with highlighting the seams.
Yep, I can see how they kind of pop there.
Yeah, and also just a little bit of very subtle dusting on top. I didn't make this one look too weathered. Like, again, just for some variety. I think this one's an Athearn container, but one thing I found is cool is the Athearn containers will stack on top of the Walthers containers because the little pins fit.
Oh, that's good. Well, I mean, they kind of should, right? I mean, they're sort of modular that way in real life,
Yeah,
too.
although mixing brands doesn't always work.
Yeah.
I found
models, right?
Models, yeah. Because they have these little pins on the bottom that stick in the little holes on the top. And that way you can, the top container will stay put when you put it on the bottom container.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, aren't those prototypical, though?
They are, and you would think that would mean they would all match up. But like some brands, like Concor makes some, but the pins are on top and the holes are on the bottom. So you can't.
That's too bad.
Yeah, so this is actually better because I think this looks more realistic.
Yeah.
Anyway, again, just, powders, some light rusting, discoloration here and there.
I like this because there's so many. Like, I'm looking at one off camera right now. Can you bring that evergreen one that's under the Maersk over here?
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one,
yeah,
actually.
Look at this thing. Look at that. It reminds me of an old Burlington Northern locomotive or something.
Yeah, this one was actually one that I kind of inherited from a friend. And I don't know if he did it or if he'd gotten it this way, but it kind of had a botched wash weathering on it that looked kind of not so good. So I decided to just really weather the heck out of this one.
Yeah, it looks good now.
And I made this one a lot more rusted and decrepit looking than some of the others.
Yeah, I've seen a container like that on some car going through Oakland or Berkeley or something.
Yeah. So, just kind of went with it and, I think made a salvageable model out of it.
Well, that's a lot of containers, and that's not even all of them.
No, like I said, I have over 50 of these things. I had some, and I bought some to so that I'd have enough. And then, you know, you go to the hobby shop and, oh, that one looks cool. And that one is, so now I have a few more than I actually need at the moment, but that's okay. They'll get used eventually.
Yeah. And, you know, it seems like if you wanted to, you wouldn't have to necessarily have a stack train that's fully loaded. I mean, some of the well cars could be empty and just put the heavy ones toward the back so that it stretches the train, you know?
Yeah, or you could, some of them should just be singles too.
Yeah, that too.
You know,
so,
which I've seen.
Is it going to be fully loaded though, or?
I may leave one or two as singles just for some variety.
Yeah.
You know, I want to, you know, we'll see.
Yeah, I can't wait to see these trains. This is going to be cool.
Yeah. So hopefully it looks good. I also, I didn't bring them with me, but I spent some time weathering up the well cars, and you know.
Right. Yeah, I know we reviewed a well car. I don't know how it's going to be released in relation to the Dan's Models episode, but the well car looked pretty cool too. So
yeah, and that actually I put a one of those Ring Engineering Freds on that well car.
It actually appeared in the review for the well car and in the review of the Fred. So
right, so that one's going to get used and it'll be on the end of the train, as you might expect.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one's weathered now.
Cool.
So anyway, yeah, working on it, getting close to being ready here. So
well, I guess we'll check out some more Dan's Models next week. Adios.
Bye.